Correct.
All right, so I will kick it off here. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon and welcome to How to Avoid the Riptides, Staying Safe Online. I am Whitney Jacobson. I will be moderating this session. I'll begin by briefly introducing our presenters. They will deliver a rousing presentation, and then we'll have some time at the end for Q&A. So if you have questions, please feel free to put them in the chat throughout, and then if we have time at the end, we will answer them then. Note that we'll be recording this presentation. We're currently recording this presentation, and an accessible video will be available on the IT Professionals Conference website next week. Now, without further ado, I would like to welcome Alan Monette and John Nagler. Nick, you can go to the next slide. I'm sure a lot of you know them already. They are in the Office of Cybersecurity, and here are a few interesting tidbits about them to help you get to know them a little bit better. And with that, John, take it away.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I hope you are all enjoying this very warm Friday afternoon. As you can tell, Alan and I are relaxing. I'm on the beach. Alan's on Bascom Hill. I hope everybody's got a nice cold beverage to enjoy while we're talking about what to do while you're on the beach. So the first step towards, Nick, next slide, please. Thank you. The first step towards overcoming any problem is understanding the problem, or in this case, multiple problems. So we will get into the what, how, and why of this issue. The first thing you might be asking yourself, why riptides? Well, the internet is much like the beach, some good, some bad. There is a false sense of safety often in the calm and the peace if the tide is low and the waves are calm. 1 minute, you could be out there enjoying the sun and the sand and the water, surfing and loving life. The next minute, you've fallen off your board and you're being pulled out to sea by an unforeseen force. Today, Alan and I will be your lifeguards and show you the trouble spots and give you tips to avoid them so you can keep surfing safely. Alan is going to kick us off with talking about some of the riptides we see at work.
So we're going to cover kind of state of the scams here at the university. This is what the Cybersecurity Operations Center sees, the next couple of slides, on a really routine basis. The absolute most common scam that we see across the university is an employment scam. This is something that has primarily been hitting students. It's gotten significantly worse since the pandemic. If you saw anything from the World Health Organization in your email box telling you about a wonderful job that will make you a lot of money and let you work remotely, that was probably one of the scams that's been hitting us. That one has been coming up since the beginning of the pandemic. Roughly every 2 to 3 months, we get a blast of them, and they go away again for a bit, and they come back and send us some more. They are primarily trying to hit students, but they're shotgunning this thing out there to any email address they can get their hands on. This is primarily being spread through phished credentials and compromised email accounts, including phishing our own people and using internal emails to send it out, which is always more successful than if you're getting a scam email from some non@whiskey2u email address. Nick, on to the next slide. We've got a sample email here from one of the scams. This was not one of the World Health Organizations, but it was one that came across the SOC's desk, obviously telling people that this is approved by the school for them to apply. And it's, you know, if I could make that kind of money for that kind of work, that wouldn't be bad. That's also one of the indicators that this is not really a real job. Nick,
Alan,
next.
so you're saying $200 an hour isn't a reasonable online part-time rate?
Yeah, not so much, John.
Dang it. I got to stop.
Sorry to break your spirit on that one. You're not going to get that if you apply for that job.
On a Friday too, man. It just full of bad news, Alan.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm the bad news part of the team. John will talk to you about stuff that maybe is good news. maybe, if you're lucky.
Yes, so much good news.
Well, you're at least going to talk to them about how to not fall for scams, right? Now, that's good news.
Yes, absolutely. That's a good positive spin, Alan.
All right, our next thing up that the SOC sees pretty frequently is stuff in what the FBI and the Federal Trade Commission call business email compromise attacks. These cover a number of different types of attacks. You can see the list here. The one we see hitting the campus, well, the two we actually see hitting campus most frequently are the gift card scams and the fake invoices. Nick, if you'll hit the next slide. This is one of the fake invoices. The attackers in these scams are generally pretty targeted. They want to impersonate someone at the university who hopefully even sort of works in the right area. Often we will see them impersonating someone important in a department, like the department chair. Often we will see these coming in trying to impersonate the chancellor. The most frequent thing with gift cards that you will see is a really short email that just says, "Are you there?" They're looking for the victim to respond, and they will either then send a request, "Hey, I can't get out of this meeting. I want to give team members this great gift. Can you run out and use your own money and buy a bunch of gift cards?" Some of them will be willing to try to walk you through buying a gift card if you say you've never done it before. Others will actually try to switch this to SMS. We've seen that actually becoming the more frequent thing. They will say, if you reply saying, "Yes, I'm here," they'll say, "Hey, can you text me? Here's my phone number. I'm in a meeting. I can't call. I can't continue emailing. I'd rather text," whatever the reason. And again, they'll ask you to go do something that will spend your money and will give the money over to the person running the scam. The order requests and invoice requests are also really similar to this. They attempt to impersonate someone who should legitimately be invoicing the university or getting an order request accepted and paid, and they will send one of them to you and try to get you to approve it and send them the money. These normally also come with you need to send it to this new account instead of the old account, so that the money goes to the person running the scam rather than legitimately back to, say, Dell through our normal account channels. Nick, next slide. I think we got one more sample email.
Alan, so you're telling me I'm not going to get 5 years of McAfee? Is that what you're telling me?
John, you don't need 5 years of McAfee.
That's what that email was about. I already sent them $489.
No, John, you're not getting 5 years of McAfee subscription.
Man, Alan, you were such a downer this afternoon.
I am. That's my job. You told me to be a doubter today. You said, make everybody really scared and be really depressing. I'm just doing what you asked, man.
Nailing it, Alan. Keep it up.
All right, good. I'll add that to my performance review. Really depressing and down for everybody. So this is another invoice scam. Like I said, these often get caught because the requests just don't quite make sense in our environment. Now, it is somebody saying, "I'm part of Dell," but they don't actually have a Dell email address. And we work with Dell often enough that we kind of even know a lot of the people that we should be talking to, particularly when it comes to paying them. The gift card scam version of this actually does work fairly routinely on campus. They are most successful when they get someone who's brand new, who has not been around very long and doesn't really know how stuff is purchased on campus. So one of the things we are strongly encouraging leadership in various areas and IT professionals around campus to do for new people is make sure you say, "This is not how we would have you buy gift cards. You will not need to ever spend your own personal money to buy things legitimately for the university." That kind of thing goes a long way to preventing these scams. Nick, next slide. Targeted scam emails or whaling. Whaling versus phishing. Phishing is throw the net wide, pull in anything and everything that will reply to you. Whaling, you are targeting someone specific, usually someone important. These are scams that are trying to get a CEO or another C-level person at a company to reply and to do things. Or in our case, we have actually experienced one where a student and their family was targeted for a tuition scam. The attackers managed to get into the email of the victim. They were following through on threads in the email and were watching the victim and his family working to try to pay his tuition. This is a foreign national with parents who can easily afford the tuition. But the scammers got into this and impersonated someone here at the university, again, saying, no, you need to change how you're doing this. Please send the money over here instead. And over here is not a legitimate place. It's where the attackers want to see the money. Real world scenario, the folks actually lost money and we're not able to, as far as I know, prosecute anyone for it. So these can be pretty significantly impacting events. And yes, John, I am continuing to be a downer. I'm about to let you be a downer for a little bit, though, and you can talk about some phone scams we know about.
Oh, thank you, Alan. That was a great segue, and you successfully were a very big downer for this Friday afternoon. So these are more on the personal side as opposed to on the employment side. They absolutely happen to people at the UW, be it students, employees, whatever kind of classification you want to use. The big difference, though, is that generally speaking, the Office of Cybersecurity would never hear about it. I mean, in general, it's safe to assume that pretty much every scam you've ever heard of is more successful than you would believe or than the numbers say, because who wants to say, yeah, I'm a sucker. This thing happened to me. I fell for it. Like the fact that people at all say that happens is amazing. And I would imagine it is like an iceberg where, I don't know, 20%, 30% of people report it. And the other 70%, hopefully, learns their lesson and doesn't do it again and is embarrassed that it happened. So one of the very common ones is the grandparent scam, the arrest warrant scam, the bail bond scam, all variations of the same thing. From a high level, basically someone will get a phone call from an unknown number. The person on the other end of that line will be kind of hard to hear, and they will talk about how they were drunk driving and they crashed their car and they need to pay $10,000 to get out of this situation immediately, and they need the money wired to them stat. And because of the nature of the cell phones they use or whatever the technology they're using, it's hard to hear and understand the people. And we care about the people we care about, and we want to help them out. And Alan, if you call me at 2 a.m. and you say you were drunk driving and crashed your car and you need $10,000, 2 a.m, I'm probably gonna hop out my computer and start to type it to you. So I get it. But
what about
I hope
3:43 p.m. on a Friday, John? Could you send me $10,000 now?
I'm in the middle of something, but talk to me at 4:05. We'll all right.
I'll take gift cards.
Ooh. Excellent. Good to know. I appreciate your flexibility, Alan. The arrest warrant scam is basically the same thing in the bail bonds. It's just the theme is the same, just the exact mechanism of what the person needs on the end of the phone is changes.
The arrest warrant scam we have actually had hit campus a little bit, or at least get reported by people on campus. Fortunately, that one also gets reported to the relevant police station or sheriff's office even more frequently than to us, because the scammers do get on the phone and they tell you that they have an arrest warrant for you, and the way to make it go away is to give them money. And it's a little scary.
Yeah, and we forgot to add. I'll say I forgot to add to the slide that same thing happens with the IRS, that you owe back taxes, and if you don't pay now, we're going to come get you. Which, if anyone has ever done their taxes, in this decade, you'll know that the IRS would be years behind. So if you were filed your taxes wrong in like 2019, they might just now know that. So unless it's like you did something wrong in 2018 and then they send you a letter and nobody's going to call you. They don't have that.
I was actually going to ask, Judd, how do you think the IRS communicates that kind of information normally?
Letter.
Do you think they call you? No, they send you a letter.
Well, they keep telling me that they're calling me, but I don't believe them, Alan.
Good
Yeah.
plan.
Yeah. Every now and then. Next up, we have SMS scams, which we've already kind of hit on. So that's SMSs. Alan, I'm blanking on it.
I don't remember. It's SMS, John. It's text messages on your phone.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Anyway, here's two examples. So there's multiple ways that they can get you with this. They can, these are just two samples. A package was not left for you, or that you have to pay a fee for it. Obviously, you were getting something very inexpensively from Europe in the second one, or England, I guess specifically, because the pounds. But there are multiple variations on this one as well. They also do gift cards, or you won something, that kind of thing, and then they have a link in there that you have to click on. That is, it's just phishing. It's just SMS phishing, which people are, I would say, less defensive of, because our phone numbers are, in theory, more protected than our email addresses, especially at the university where all of our our emails are on the directory system. So
all our phone numbers are on there too. They just don't take text messages.
That's very true. Thank you, Alan. The double whammy here is, so if you clicked on one of those links, it'll very likely go to a phishing site, and it would look like a shipping site for Royal Mail. And if you try to log in, they steal your credentials. The other issue there is they could have a link that would install malware on your machine if your phone is old enough. So the recommendation would be just delete those right away and do not respond, and then you should be set there. Short messaging service. That sounds right. Yes. Thank you, John. Minor. Okay. Next up, talk about everybody's favorite, catfishing. Who doesn't love catfishing?
John, what is catfishing?
Oh, okay. Sorry. Thank you, Alan. Catfishing is when someone pretends to be someone else on the internet. Like, for example, on the internet, I am a cat, and no one knows that, except for now they do. And then I would use my cat persona to get cat lovers to send me money. That is catfishing in a nutshell. It is very common, unfortunately. There's lots of YouTube videos, actually, there are YouTube channels that are dedicated to finding people that have been they work with people who've been catfished, and they find the catfisher, I guess, and then, try to convince the person that they've been catfished, which is, unfortunately, the whole thing is very sad, but it is also very common. The easy ways to avoid this are avoid unsolicited videos and phone calls. And if let's say you're on, I don't know, Tinder, let's just say, and you're chatting with somebody, if they avoid talking to you in person or doing a video chat or whatever, they always just text you or message you or, that kind of thing, then it's very likely, either they're not that interested in you, which it's a nice way to say that they're washing their hair, or they are actually trying to catfish you and get you to send them money, which is unfortunate. Some other tips to see if you're suspicious of this are the profile doesn't have many followers or friends. They really avoid meeting up in person. Another red flag would be they ask you for money. In general, if people ask you for money, you got to kind of question what's going on there. Although, Alan, I appreciate that you asked me for money. Like I said, we'll circle back, and at 4:05, we'll be talking about that. But I know you, Alan. We've worked together for years. If you need 10 grand, you need 10 grand. No questions, no follow-up. So another thing is if they have a new profile, for example, let's say, I don't know, Facebook has been around for 20 years, give or take. If they have a brand new profile, something's probably up, because I don't know how many people are discovering Facebook in 2023 and are like, hey, what's this Facebook thing all about? If you're one of the people very likely at this conference. You can always do reverse image searches and then find the pictures are usually stolen. Another red flag would be that they ask for explicit photos of you or video of you doing things, because then they have some leverage over you to get the $10,000 or whatever you have. And another red flag is that
I do not have explicit photos of John to get my $10,000. I just want to be very clear about that.
Yet, Alan, the day is not done, buddy.
Oh God, what did I just set myself up for?
Not to get explicit photos and videos of me.
We'll talk about that at 4:05.
Another thing is if they go over the top, like if you just met someone and checking with them for a week or a couple weeks, and they're I love you so much, you're the love of my life, we need to get married, that kind of thing. Like in real life, which, I mean, don't get me wrong, this is real life, but in person, if that happened, if I was on a date with someone and on the very first date they started talking about babies and marriage and all that kind of stuff, I mean, I'm a keeper, don't get me wrong, real top of the line stuff over here, but I would run for the hills. But on the internet, people, their guards are down and they're not prepared for what happens, unfortunately. And if I'm being perfectly candid, this happened to my mom. She got catfished. She does not come to my conferences. She does not listen to me talk really about anything, but she got catfished for a couple $1,000s, and it was very disappointing because my mom should know better and she should listen to me, but she doesn't. And hopefully you guys will have better luck with your parents, or maybe we should tell each other's parents, because I'm sure my mom would think that you're the smartest man in the world, Alan, and I'm sure your mom would also know that I'm an idiot. But maybe not. Maybe she would think that John Nagler, he's a smart guy. You never know. Anything's possible. Next slide. Oh, thank you, Nick. Okay, so we have been Debbie Downers for 22 minutes so far. And Laurel is entertained, if nothing else. So again, we've showed you the problem. So now what? Do we run to the beach and cry and just, bury our head in the sand and pretend that we're fine? Or should we try to come up with some strategies and some tips to work forward? Alan, what do you think? Should we bury our head and pretend it's fine?
Let's give them some tips, John. I think we can probably manage to do that with a couple of slides here near the end of the day.
Sounds good. Nick, next slide, please. Good sir.
All right. Protecting yourself and the UW, some things you can do. We've been covering this a little bit all along, but these are some great questions to be asking, particularly for some of the scams I talked about earlier that we see on a routine basis. Business email compromise scam. If folks understand how things are purchased, and know what to expect when someone wants them to go buy something, they can be very suspicious of someone doing it outside of the normal process and the normal channel. Asking you to switch between email and text message and voice phone call, something that could also be a good sign for, yeah, this is actually a scam. So John, when I call you later and ask you to switch to text messages,
nothing but trust.
You're still going to give me $10,000, right?
I mean, we'll continue discussing. It's not no. There's not
all right,
enough red flags
good,
yet.
excellent.
I know you. I expect something from you. I mean, once we change mediums, then maybe. Then I'm starting to, but not yet.
Next slide, Nick. The usual for phishing, is this somebody telling you it's an emergency or something that has to be immediately done, trying to establish a real sense of urgency for the request. This is pretty much every scam will use that in one way or another. If they make it urgent, you'll hopefully ignore some of the warning signs and just get it done quick. Gift cards and Bitcoin or any other sort of non-standard payment mechanisms. We've talked about that quite a bit. We haven't mentioned Bitcoin before or any other cryptocurrencies. Yes, being asked for cryptocurrencies could potentially be legit if you were expecting it. But again, someone just randomly comes in and, hey, John, instead of $10,000, how about we switch that to Bitcoin and you give me 4 or 5 Bitcoins? How's that sound?
That sounds worse, Alan. You're not selling me on this, buddy.
Dang it.
But if you can come up with an emergency, then maybe.
Well, I mean, I could probably use some new tires on the car.
Today?
That'd be great. Could I
Okay,
do
well,
that today?
we'll think about it. We'll think about it.
I just want to quickly chime in here and say that we have 5 minutes left.
All right, I'm going to zoom through the last bits I've got, and then hopefully John can also be a motor mouth to finish us up. Good procedures defeat good scams. A lot of the scams we've talked about have ways that a good process behind what is normally done can help make the scam harder to achieve. We didn't hit it hard yet, but direct deposit scams are a great example of where a process can fix a potential scam situation. If you don't have the right processes to verify that a direct deposit request, the change to direct deposit request is from the legitimate user, it's relatively easy to scam them. If you do, then John gets a nice phone call saying, hi, someone asked to change your direct deposit. Do you really want to do that? Was that you? Before that actually happens and the change goes through and he loses his pay this week.
Yeah,
Next slide, Nick.
I'm anti that.
So this pretty much sums up a bunch of the other stuff we were talking about with some just general good ideas. Exactly what it says on the 10 here, including we love MFA and security, and we think password managers are pretty cool too.
Yeah. And again,
Next.
if somebody's asking you for money, just be very wary. Okay, so to take you guys home, if you forget everything else about this presentation, and Alan and I hope that you do, remember this one section. So there's 3 easy steps to avoid a scam. You first have to listen and pay attention to what the person is saying. Very often, if you are paying attention, you will find there are errors. Like, for example, they're calling you about your IRS returns, but they don't know what your IRS return was, or what year it's from, or what county you live in, or anything, because they are just, throwing things at the wall and hoping it sticks. Okay, the next one up. Whenever you, if something happens and you're, if there is they always have the rush to action, but pause, take a time out, think about what is happening, go for a walk. Your stomach and your belly and your brain will often be like, your spider sense will start tingling if you want to use that reference. And then you'd think about it a little more, and then I don't know about this. And then last but not least, make sure to contact whatever the entity is through a public means. So if the IRS is calling on a funny number, you can call the IRS back. They have public numbers. If it's the sheriff's department of, Dodge County, they have a public number and they don't know who you are. I mean, maybe Alan, I wouldn't be surprised, but in general, they don't know who we are and they're not calling for us and they don't want us to bribe them.
Dodge County Sheriff doesn't know me. UW-PD actually does if you get the right people, but not Dodge County.
I like it. I like it, Alan. So yeah. So make sure to do those 3 steps. And those are, again, oh, next slide, please, Nick. There you go. Listen, pause, contact. If you ever have any doubts, and it's just that easy. So, I mean, we wrapped up
in all of 2 minutes.
Yeah,
2 minutes early, Alan. So
and
thank you guys for coming. Thank you for spending your Friday afternoon with us. Alan, now that we have a little time, so did they put us last because they couldn't follow us, or they put us last because they figured no one would be here and they were embarrassed by what we do? What do you think?
I think they put you last to save the best for last. That's what I think. There's 2 quick questions that maybe you can answer them each
You are
in 30
a consummate
seconds.
professional.
Thank you so much, sir. Is there a safe way to use Outlook's out-of-office auto reply feature and send those out-of-office messages to folks you're corresponding with who don't work at UW-Madison? He goes on to say, I'm pretty sure in the past there was a way to configure the out-of-office feature to send to the person's contacts and to the people they've corresponded with in the past. It doesn't look like this feature is available anymore. Do you have any thoughts on that?
I do have a few. I haven't really seen anything to suggest out of office replies are a key component of most email scams. So I don't know that I would worry about it a lot. The current settings that I'm aware of let you differentiate between internal contacts, people that are on your contacts list, and potentially, I think, people at the university, and completely external entities, and let you set a different message for each. I tend to set a pretty non-specific message, just I'm going to be out of the office for these dates for external people, and fill in a little bit more for internal folks. Generally for my job, it's who do you need to call if I'm not here and you need to report an incident to cybersecurity?
Thanks for that, Alan. I was under the impression that if I sent my out of office replies to the internet willy-nilly, then bots could say, oh, this is a real live email address, and the value of mine, as something that would be sold as a valid email address would go up.
The ways that people can get your email address to send you things are legion.
I see.
I really would not worry about that. I mean, they can scrape the public databases. The white pages are not blocked, and you can go look at them programmatically if you are willing to spend enough time and write the right kind of code and scrape your email address out of there.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
So
I will stop using your email address on the internet. I apologize. Happy Friday.
Yeah, happy Friday. Thanks, John.
Yep, no problem.
Thank you, guys.
If you just do some quick Googling, you can find John's address and go encourage him to stop using your email address like that.
Yeah, I'd like to add one more thing. When I expressed my disappointment that Cybersecurity Forward was being, end of lifed, I was really sad about that. But then I heard that maybe you guys are going to have a track every year now at other conferences. Is that something you can comment on?
I actually can't. I am not involved in that decision, and I do not know for sure what we are planning.
Yeah, well, it's so important that we hear from your team multiple times per year at conferences like this. So if you're finding, Alan, that you're not going to be giving any conference presentations, let me know, and maybe we can have you as guests at the conferences that I'm on the planning committees for, because it's so important.
Scott, I am both shy and not a talker, but if you ever need somebody, I would be happy to overcome both of those abilities and do whatever you need.
John's been working on that for the entire time I've known him. He's made great progress. Everyone give him a round of applause.
Yes, shyness can be defeated. Thank you, Whitney.
Okay, and it's time to go.
But we had one more question.
Unfortunately, run out of time for questions, but I'm sure that Alan and John would both be happy to answer any additional questions by email. This was our last virtual session of the conference, but we do have an in-person networking event at the Memorial Union Terrace starting in about 27 minutes. So we hope to see you there. And if not, we hope you'll join us next year. Thank you both, Alan and John, and everyone for attending.
Thank you.